I loved everything about school. I loved the way that my teachers would sweep us into the classroom. I loved the way that it always smelled like rain on the first day, even though it was rarely actually raining. I loved my plastic desk with my name taped across the top and that thin little pencil holder that was always a little bit too shallow to ever successfully hold a pencil. I loved everything about school, except for the other kids. It wasn't that I didn't like them, it was just that I was terrified of them. I felt like everybody had received a social manual that I had somehow never gotten. I used to sit at my plastic desk and fantasize at a day when nobody else would come to school, and it would just be me and the teacher and the class rabbit. Oh, now that would be education. But unfortunately, the other children kept coming. And then, to make matters worse, every weekend my mother would insist on a special type of torture called play dates. Every Saturday throughout elementary school, she would drive me to a different friend's house. You'll have fun. I won't have fun. You only have to stay for an hour and a half. An hour and a half, Mom? That's so long. How about a half hour? You can't do anything in a half hour. I know, that's the idea. An hour. That's my final offer. She did the hand. You know the hand. I had lost. Fine, a whole forever hour. Stop fiddling with the window. I'm not fiddling. Mommy, when will you stop making me play with other kids? When you want to. Well, fantastic. That was clearly never going to happen. I pictured my 80-year-old mother driving her 50-year-old daughter to play dates. This did not bode well for my future. I'm so scared. I think I'm gonna be sick. Don't you even think about it. How could I not think about it? I was an anxious child with a strong gag reflex. You get hosed down in the backyard at one birthday party, it's not something you can just not think about. Don't even think about it. I'm not. Mom, will you stay the whole time? No, I'll stay until you're comfortable. So you'll stay the whole time? We'll see. We pulled up to the friend's house. She got out. Jessie, I got out. And moved to the door with all the enthusiasm of a stoned snail. I can't ring the doorbell, my hands are sweaty, I'll get electrocuted. Fine. Zzz. That year in school, we read a book about the Berlin Wall and a little girl who lived in West Germany who went over to sleep at a friend's house in East Germany the night that the soldiers barricaded the space between East and West and erected the barbed wire that would later become the Berlin Wall. And so the next morning when she woke up and tried to go home, she couldn't get back across the border, and she had to stay with that random friend's family for months until they could smuggle her back home. I don't know what my takeaway was supposed to be from this book, but to me the message was clear. It is a terrible idea to play at other children's houses. I mean, what if they built a Chicago wall in between Northbrook and Glenview, and I had to live with Brianna, with her mom and that stinky permed hair for the rest of my life? It was just a risk I could not take. And then, what if something horrible happened to my parents? Because something horrible could only happen to them if I wasn't with them. And I had to stay with whatever kid I'd randomly been playing with at the time. Because in my little kid mind, that was clearly the protocol for orphans. Wherever you are when your parents die, that's where you live now. And that felt very real and very scary. But an hour later, my mom had not died. She came back. She always came back. How was it? How did you do? Yeah, Mom, it was so fun. We had a really good time. We played ponies and we watched Smurfs, and Brianna has this doll and you give it water and peas for pretend for real. It was so fun, Mom. We had such a good time. That's so good. And will you remember this next weekend when you're so scared? Will you remember what a good time you had? Oh yeah, Mom, I'll totally remember. I'll totally remember. But somehow, between that week and the next, that wall of fear was built up again, brick by brick, by brick, by brick, by brick, by brick, by brick, until by the next weekend it was so tall I couldn't see the other side. And then there was middle school. I switched in 6th grade to a small middle school, and it was out of the box, but I'd lost my box a long time ago, so that was fine with me. I liked everything about my new middle school, except for the other children. I liked my principal, Mr. Nelson. He was a tall man with a shock of red hair. Everybody called him Big Nelson because he shared a last name with another teacher. And Big Nelson would march up and down the halls every morning playing the bagpipes. We were allowed to yell at him, but we weren't allowed to throw things. Stop playing bagpipes! He didn't care. And Big Nelson was a Quaker? I didn't even know that was a real thing. I thought that was just like the guy on the cereal box, but apparently it was a world religion. Who knew? Also, I liked my teachers because Apparently, as you get older, you earn more teachers, so in 6th grade, we got 2 of them, Mrs. Zion and Mrs. Voigt, 2 teachers oddly devoted to the merits of reverse alphabetical order. Mrs. Zion, the math and science teacher, had a classroom full of animals. There were doves and iguanas and a python. I spent the entire year in pre-algebra wondering why she didn't just tell us what the hell X was so we could stop this mathematical nonsense and play with the animals. And Mrs. Voigt didn't have any animals in her classroom, but she had a classroom full of plants that she named after literary characters. Somebody water the Bronte sisters. And then, in the middle of the day, we got to switch rooms. It was like musical chairs, but only once and with no music. Middle school was going well until partway through the year, there was a terrible announcement. Congratulations, 6th graders, it's time for outdoor education. For those of you who are not familiar with the wonders of outdoor education, it is education, but outdoors. My problem is not the outdoors. I like the outdoors just fine. My problem was that apparently the Illinois outdoors were not suitable to be educated in, so they felt the need to schlep us all the way to the Wisconsin outdoors for 2 whole hours on a bus, and then we had to stay there for 2 whole nights without our parents. The other children were ecstatic. I was planning to be ill, but my mom made me go. You'll have fun. I won't have fun. I love you. I will miss you more than words can say. Jesse, it's 2 days. We got to the school. I looked at all the kids milling around the parking lot. Felt like jumping out into a pool full of sharks. I got out. Okay, 6th graders, everybody, eyes up here, said Big Nelson. Hey, eyes up here. All right, so everyone grab a handful of firewood. We're gonna throw it into the bus through the emergency exit into that back seat, and then we'll load up your bags and we're out of here. All right, everybody, let's move. I grabbed a handful of firewood. By the way, we had to bring our own wood with us. If the Wisconsin outdoors were so superior to the Illinois outdoors, why did we have to bring our own wood? It didn't check out. But I threw my handful of firewood through that emergency exit into the back seat of the bus. And then Big Nelson helped us load up our bags. Gee, Jesse, this is heavy. You staying for a whole week? Dear God, I hope not. All right, now everybody grab a bus partner. Oh, free will and socialization, my 2 least favorite things. Now, for those of you who haven't been 6th graders for a minute or who never received your social manual like I hadn't, there is a very specific way that 6th graders pick bus partners. As soon as somebody says pick your partner, you look up, make eye contact with the first human being you wouldn't hate sitting next to for 2 hours and yell, here's my partner, I got my partner, okay, we're gonna get on the bus, this is my partner. I did not know that, I didn't have my social manual. And so I looked down at my feet and I figured, 2 hours is a significant time commitment. And I thought about who might be a viable partnering option. I didn't want anybody who was gonna be too friendly because they might want to have social plans when we got back. But I didn't want anybody who was gonna be not friendly at all because then I'd feel left out. Maybe someone who would take a nap would be a good option. And I'd narrowed it down to 2 or 3 viable candidates when I looked up and realized that everybody else already had a partner. And everybody else was already on the bus. So by the time I got onto the bus, there was only 1 seat left, next to the wood pile. Looks like I'd found my partner after all. Should have brought something sharp. Could have taught myself how to whittle. The trip wasn't as bad as I expected. Things rarely are. We played games and told stories and had a campfire. Big Nelson woke us up every morning with his musical stylings. Stop playing bagpipes! Then on the last day, the outdoor education instructor decided to do trust exercises with us, which is kind of an oxymoron with 6th graders. But she put blindfolds on everybody and conga lined us into a big clearing. Okay, all right, 6th graders, everybody keep your blindfolds on. Zachary, blindfold on. All right, now we're gonna walk around this clearing and there's a bell somewhere here. And I want you all to try to find the bell. And if you really can't find it and you need help, raise your hand and say, I need help, and I'll lead you to the bell, okay? All right, go. 6th graders running everywhere, trying to find this mysterious bell in the air. 2 seconds in, I kid you not. I need help. Oh, Zachary, of course you do. I had to stand for the early help askers. And sure enough, a few seconds later, ding, she led him right to the bell. Then another kid, I need help, ding, I need help, ding. Then there was some silence while the rest of us searched. And then another round of voices, I need help, ding, I need help, ding, I need help. And then there was more silence, and then another chorus of voices. But this time, they were all yelling at me, Jessica, raise your stupid hand. Oh my God, you're taking forever. Raise your hand, seriously. No, it's fine, I don't need help, I've got it. Don't worry about it, I'm gonna find it. You don't have it, just raise your hand. Oh my God. Finally, peer pressure won out. Fine, I need help, I guess, even though I don't actually. And the outdoor education instructor came and took my blindfold off. Ding! I have the bell. Does anybody know what this exercise is about? Tricking kids? No, okay, well, maybe this isn't the best way to show it, but it's just a way to show you how you ask for help. You know, everybody's different. Some people ask for help real fast. Other people, you know, try for a while and then they ask for help. And some people, she said, very carefully, not making eye contact with me, some people have kind of a hard time asking for help. There's no right or wrong way to be. It's just interesting, you know? It's just interesting. Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I thought about it all the way home next to the remnants of the woodpile. Her takeaway is that it's good to be able to ask for help. My takeaway is that outdoor education instructors are not to be trusted. But little did I know something was going to happen in the next year that was going to teach me how to ask for help. Ding, over, ding, and over again. It was the spring break of 7th grade, and we were going to Hawaii. I was so excited, partly because it was going to be a tropical paradise, but mostly because I was going to have actual ocean between me and every kid who might want to have social plans for 2 solid weeks. Oh, now that was vacation. But a couple weeks before we were supposed to go, I got a bad case of strep throat for the first time. I'd never had it before, and I was worried it would mess up the trip, but I got on antibiotics, and we were off to Hawaii. I was especially excited because we were going to go scuba diving. I couldn't wait to dive past that rough surface and into the calm depths below. And also, as a child of the Little Mermaid generation, I had not ruled out the possibility that I was going to see an entirely crustacean and fish-based reggae band down there. I was in the back seat of my parents' rental car, drawing myself as a diver, imagining what it would be like. And I got to the part where I was going to draw the waves, and I felt it click. It was like a door unlocked inside me, and through it flooded a fear more intense and powerful than anything I'd ever experienced. And I suddenly knew with absolute certainty that I had to get these waves to be even, because if they weren't, something horrible was going to happen to my parents. They were going to die or be in a car crash. They were going to get eaten by a shark. Something horrible was going to happen, and it would all be my fault if I couldn't get the waves to be even. And I made them bigger and rougher and bigger and rougher, and they covered the page, but they were never even enough. We got to the hotel, and I stopped in the doorway. I had to jump through it exactly the right way and land it just so it felt just right. It was like some terrible, terrifying Olympic sport. If I didn't stick the landing, I had to start it all over, and I just couldn't get it right, no matter how many times I tried. We walked along the beach, and I had to touch my mom 4 sets of 4 times in just the right rhythm in order to keep her safe. And she didn't understand what I was doing, and I didn't understand. I couldn't explain it. I just have to. Please, just let me. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, just stop moving. I have to start over. Please, just stop. Bob, just take her. Just hold her hand. I can't. And we walked through paradise and hell at the same time. And when we got back home, she started calling doctors. Hello, this is Dr. A.J. Allen. She told the psychiatrist everything that had been going on. Well, I can't diagnose over the phone for sure, but it does sound like your daughter's had an acute onset of obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD. Well, there's no cure, but there is treatment. My practice is very full, but I can recommend some excellent colleagues. Well, that's very nice. I'm glad I was recommended. But, there's some other wonderful doctors. I'm not the best. There are many good doctors out there, and yeah. Yes, I do have children. Okay. You know what? I'm going to put you through to my secretary. You tell her I said to make an appointment. All right. And we were in. Go, Mama. The next week, I found myself on Dr. Allen's couch next to my mom. He gave me a test, just like in school, but instead of a grade, I got a disorder. Jesse, based on these results, you did have an acute onset of OCD, obsessive-compulsive disorder. Have you ever heard of that? Yeah, but that doesn't make any sense. Isn't that the thing where you have to wash your hands? Because, I'm not scared of germs at all. I'll let the dog lick me on the mouth. I don't even care. Tell him, Mom, it's true. She does do that. Contamination is one type of OCD, but
There are many different types. For example, some people are afraid of harming others. Other people have religious obsessions. Some people feel a need to do things a certain number of times or to check in order to keep the anxiety at bay. But the thing that all people with OCD have in common is doubt. The big what if. What if I didn't turn the stove off? What if my hands aren't clean enough? What if not doing that a certain number of times will make something bad happen? Does that make sense? His voice and mannerisms were oddly like Kermit the Frog. I trusted him instantly. I know this is a lot to take in, Jesse. How are you feeling? My mom looked pretty shell-shocked, but I was feeling great. I was relieved. I'm good. I'm just like glad I'm not crazy or whatever. That's right, you're not. You know, mental illness is a medical condition just like any other medical condition, and your brain is an organ just like any other part of your body. For example, your brain has these different deep structures called the basal ganglia and the thalamus. They sounded more like characters from an Oscar Wilde play than anatomy. Hello, basal ganglia. Well, if it isn't you, thalamus. He continued his lecture on neurology with the enthusiasm that most people reserve for sporting events. I had no idea what he was talking about, but I understood his intention, which was to say, this is real. This is science. It is not a failure of will or imagination. He must have seen my 12-year-old face glaze over because he explained it in more child-friendly terms, saying I had holes in my worry filter. Well, that made sense. But like, why'd I get worry holes all of a sudden? Like, where'd they come from? Oh, well, that's an excellent question, Jesse. In fact, we think that you got OCD from that strep infection that you had recently.
Wait, really? That's bananas.
Well, it does seem bananas, as you say, but it's true. You see, I've been doing some excellent research. I just got back from NIMH, the National Institute for Mental Health, doing some work with Dr. Sweeto on this very topic. We've been studying a group of children like you. In fact, Jesse, you are a perfect example of the phenomenon that we are studying.
Phenomenon, huh? You seem so pleased with me, I couldn't help but feel oddly proud of myself.
We're studying a group of children who are experiencing OCD with pandas. That's pediatric autoimmune neuropsychiatric disorders associated with streptococcal infections. He had me at pandas.
Children experiencing OCD with pandas? I mean, they'd have to be babies, presumably, or they'd be too unruly. I pictured an entire room full of anxiety-ridden children, each stroking their own mental illness mascot, their very own support panda cub for comfort. I needed to be in this scientific study.
Basically, what happens is in your immune system's job is to fight an infection. So normally, when you got that strep infection, your immune system should have sent out antibodies to fight it. But in your body and in children like you, the ones with the pandas, yes, with the pandas, yes. In children like you, your immune system got confused and it accidentally sent antibodies to your brain instead, and it attacked that worry filter.
Picture those dumb antibodies poking holes in my worry filter with their little cell fists like a bunch of drunken frat boys. Dumb antibodies. Well, how do I fix it?
Well, there are a number of things we can do, but the most important one is therapy. We're going to do something called exposure response therapy, and you can start that today. And we can also talk about adding some SSRIs, some medication to help you along the way.
I'm really not comfortable with that, said my mom. She's really young. I'd prefer to not use meds, if that's possible.
No problem. We'll start with therapy. Come on, let's go meet your therapist.
We walked down the hall, and there she was, Ingrid, all 5 feet of her. She was blonde and beautiful. I thought she looked like a 1930s movie star. My mom thought she looked 12. I walked into the office with Ingrid, and my mom looked at Dr. Allen.
Quick question. I thought you were going to be her doctor? Oh, well, I am. I'll be her psychiatrist and oversee the medication, and I oversee the graduate students who do that therapy. Okay, cool. Follow-up question. Do you have anyone with more experience?
Yes, I do. But with children, there's nobody better. Trust me. And he was right. Ingrid's office was more like a playroom than an office. There were 2 beanbag chairs where the couch was supposed to be, and board games and markers and posters of cats hanging in there. She sat down on one beanbag chair and patted the one next to her for me to sit. Sorry, I just need...
Sit a certain number of times, maybe 4.
How did she know that? I thought she might be a wizard.
It's a common magical number for people with OCD. It's okay, darling. It's just OCD talking to you. Take your time.
I sat down.
Good. Now, before we get started, I have 2 important questions for you. Number 1, do you have a good imagination?
Yes, I do.
Good. Number 2, are you good at art?
Yes, I am. 2 for 2. This was going well so far. And then she pulled out a whiteboard from behind her beanbag chair with more colors of whiteboard markers than I'd ever seen in one place at one time. You can use all of these. I loved her.
I want you to draw a ship for me on the whiteboard.
A ship? Like a boat?
Yeah, a ship.
Ships, pandas. Who knew that therapy was going to be so much like sailing to China? I drew a ship on the whiteboard.
Good. Now, I want you to draw yourself on that ship because you are the captain. It's the SS Jess. And, yep, draw yourself up there.
I drew myself on the whiteboard. I'd never been a captain before.
Good. Now I want you to draw me up there because I'm going to be your first mate. I'm going to help guide this journey for you, but I promise I'll never make you do anything you don't want to do, okay?
I drew Ingrid on my ship. I was glad to have a first mate.
Good. Now, who else do you want on your crew? Your parents. Good. Draw your parents up there. Who else? Oh, your dogs. Very important. Your sea dogs. Draw your dogs up there. Who else? Do you want some friends up there with you?
No, thank you. I'm good.
Once my crew was complete, she said, all right, now I want you to draw another ship up there, but this one is a rickety, old, gross pirate ship. I want you to draw that pirate ship. All right. I drew a pirate ship up there. This was kind of fun. Now, who do you think is on that ship?
I mean, a pirate,
Presumably. Yes, and that pirate is OCD. So I want you to give OCD a name.
I mean, it has one already, OCD.
Yeah, but that's a boring science name. Boring. I want you to give it a fun, good name.
I thought of the scraggliest pirate name I could think of.
Ichabod. Good, draw Ichabod up there.
You mean like it's a character or a person or something?
Yeah, draw Ichabod up there. You can't fight something you can't imagine.
She had a point. I drew Ichabod on the whiteboard. He looked kind of like Jabba the Hutt with pants and an eye patch. Yeah, I could fight that.
Good, and now for homework. Oh, homework, I knew all this art was too good to be true. For homework, I want you to write a list of all your obsessions and compulsions.
I don't really get the difference between those things.
Okay, well, the obsessions are like the thoughts, the fears that go around and around and around in your head, and then the compulsions are the things, the rituals that you feel like you need to do to keep yourself from feeling scared.
It is going to be a long list.
That's okay, the longer the better.
That's a dangerous thing to tell someone with OCD. The next week, I came back in with my Lisa Frank Trapper Keeper packed with pages. Here,
Read them to me out loud.
I would prefer you read them to yourself, not out loud. Because it's super embarrassing, that's why.
Promise it's nothing I haven't heard before.
I highly doubt that. Fine. Number 1, yellow socks. She didn't react. Wait till I told her why. Okay, yellow socks because there's this girl in my school who's kind of mean and she always wears yellow socks, and I feel like if I wear yellow socks, I'm gonna like somehow turn into her, and I know you can't like turn into another person, but like I don't know what if, and it just like makes me feel really scared, so that's why.
Good. Number 2?
Number 2, jumping through doorways. Number 3, touching things an uneven number of times. Number 4, it was a long list. When I finished reading her the list, she said, okay, great, now we're gonna make a hierarchy. So we're gonna list all those fears from least scary to most scary. And then we're gonna practice them little by little in little doable baby steps, doing of just a few things at a time until you get comfortable with each of those things. And we're gonna do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. I'm never wearing yellow socks. That's okay, you don't have to. But I promise as you practice those things that are less scary, those things that are really scary are gonna feel easier and easier. Okay.
Oh, and you're gonna be able to tell how you're feeling using your fear thermometer.
Fear thermometer? Where did she plan to put it? I was relieved when she opened her desk drawer and pulled out a cartoon thermometer.
Okay, so 1 is not scared at all, and 10 is so scared you feel like your brain's gonna explode. And the more you practice these exposures, the quicker you see your fear's gonna go down, okay? You ready, Captain?
Bing. First step, touching things an uneven number of times. It was really hard. I could feel that magnetic pull, wanting to touch it again, wanting to make it even, but I resisted, and it got easier. Then on to car crashes. This is a fun exposure if you ever have a Friday night free. If you want to do it the way I did, you have to go to Blockbuster and rent a VHS. I recommend the movie Fly Away Home, that movie where Anna Paquin flies across the country with all the geese following her, because like 30 seconds into that movie, her mother dies in this really visceral, horrible car crash. Sorry if that was a spoiler for any of you who had that 20-year-old chestnut not on your Netflix queue. And so, in order to do this exposure, you put your tape into the VCR. If you're under 18, you can ask your parents what that is later. And you watch the car crash. Rewind. Watch the car crash. Rewind. Watch the car crash. Rewind. After a few hours, I had cried myself out. I had lost count of the panic attacks. But I realized that I was just watching her go into the car, out of the car, into the car, out of the car, and I didn't even care. I just wanted to stop watching this stupid movie. But the fear was gone. Next rung, next rung, next rung, next rung, next rung, next rung, until almost exactly a year from our first meeting, I was seated on my beanbag chair with my very own pair of newly purchased yellow socks. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you can be impressed. Why, thank you. Ingrid had a pair too. My first mate always did things with me. What's your anxiety? 6? Good, you can do 6. All right, you ready? No. You gonna do it anyway? Yeah. On your count, Captain. 1, 2, 3. Ah! Da, 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 da. Yeah! Wow, I was feeling free. I was feeling brave. I was feeling kind of a sore throat. And about a week before my 8th grade spring break, I got another case of strep throat, but I got on antibiotics super fast this time. And we flew to Florida to visit my grandparents. We were in the Florida airport, ready to come home. And I went to the bathroom, and I was stepped into the bathroom stall, and all of a sudden I felt it. Click. But this time I knew what it meant. And I also knew that I had brushed up against that pad container and that there had been blood on it, just microscopic blood that I couldn't see, and then it was on my pants, and that I touched it, and it was on my hands, and I was going to get it in my mouth, and I was going to get AIDS, and I was going to give AIDS to my mom, and we were both going to be lying in our hospital beds taking our last breaths, all because I'd been too stupid not to touch it, and I couldn't wear the pants, I can't, Mom, please, I can't wear the pants, I can't. She gave me a pair of her pants from her luggage, and we cloistered mine in a double plastic bag. And then we went to get in line to get on the airplane. I've never before appreciated the Southwest choose your own seats policy so much, because as soon as we got on and found that first empty seat, there was a brown spot on it that I was pretty sure was blood. I can't sit there. Well, can I sit there? No, you can't sit there either. We just need to find a new seat. Okay, we just need to find a different seat. And we walked down that aisle and found the next seat, and the next, 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 and there was blood everywhere. I know this is tough, Jesse, but you've had a relapse. But I was never even scared of germs, though. I know sometimes that happens with pandas. When you get strep again, your immune system gets confused, and those antibodies attack your worry filter, like last time, but you get a new set of symptoms. But that's not fair. I just did this. I just won. I was done. And I realized in that grown-up moment that all of us have at some point. That there are some things in life that never get to be done. Because when you're a kid, everything you do is done. You do your chores and they're done. You do your homework and it's done. It might not be right, but it's done. But this was never going to be done. It's okay, said Ingrid, because you know what? A year ago, you didn't even know about OCD, and now you are a captain and you have a ship. I don't want to be a captain. I don't want a stupid ship. I want a break. I'm so tired.
I know, sweetie. And maybe it's time we talk about how to give you more of a break. Maybe we can add some medication to help just take the edge off a little bit.
No, I don't need medication. I did the whole thing the first time without it. I don't need medicine. I can do it by myself.
You can, but you don't need to.
We drove to Walgreens to pick up the medication. It came in an angry orange bottle like a construction pylon. I thought about my grandpa and how he took medication for arthritis and it gave him less arthritis. And I thought about my grandma and how she took medication for cholesterol and it gave her less cholesterol. And I thought about this medicine for my brain and I wondered if it was going to make me less me. But I did. And it didn't. Still me. Ding! Now it was summertime, and so Ingrid and I met 3 times a week to do intensive exposure therapy. We were gonna get this thing. But instead of meeting at her office, we would go to the mall and go trolling for contamination. First stop, the garbage cans.
Okay, first I just want you to put your hands on the outside of the garbage can. Can you do this? Oh, what if somebody sees? What if they do?
Man, I loved her, but sometimes.
Come on, you can do this.
Fine.
What's your anxiety?
4.
Oh, better than last week. Good, let's just live here for a little while, feel the germs, love the germs.
It got easier.
Good. Now I want you to put your hands over the lip of the garbage can.
Wait, okay, hold on though, but Ingrid, what if there was a drug addict here who was like using a syringe and chewing gum also at the same time? And he like threw out his gum and the syringe together and the syringe got stuck on the gum and it got stuck on the inside of the garbage can and I put my hand in there and I stick myself.
I don't know, are there a lot of gum-chewing drug addicts at Northbrook Court?
I don't know, that's why I'm asking you.
Only one way to find out. Come on, bite Ichabod.
Okay.
Good, very good. What's your anxiety?
1,000. 7.
There you go, you can do that.
That got easier too.
All right, you ready for a new one? Can you do this?
Oh, yes, thank you.
Ingrid, people do not just touch a garbage can and then touch their face. That's not a thing. No, that's true. People don't usually do that. But you know what? If somebody were to walk by this garbage can and touch it and then accidentally touch their face or their arm, they wouldn't think about it. So you need to go way past what people normally do on purpose to prove to your brain that if you just brush up against a garbage can, you'll be fine. Does that make sense?
It made sense. I didn't like it, but it made sense.
Come on, you can do it. It's fun.
I can't. I'm sorry. Not today.
That's okay. No problem. Maybe next week.
Maybe.
Good.
And then, just to be a show-off. Hi, it was amazing to me she hadn't died by now.
Come on, you did a good job today. I'll get you a treat.
Oh, yes, a treat. We made our way back to the food court and got in line. I was gonna get some ice cream.
I'll have chocolate with sprinkles, please. What are you gonna have, Ingrid?
Whatever you're having, darling. It was a trick. Of course she wasn't gonna get me ice cream without making me work for it. She got 2 spoons. Oh, sharing ice cream, all that intermingling of saliva. She took her first bite and made eye contact with me. She was baiting me. Okay, there was way too much tongue-to-spoon contact. It was like watching Hannibal Lecter eat ice cream. Oh. I tried to get away from her and eat around the edges, but she chased me like a terrier. Finally just gave up and ate the damn ice cream. And that got easier too. It all got easier. Ingrid also introduced me to the OC Foundation, a group that provided services and support groups for people with OCD. And that's where I met Susan Richmond. She had OCD herself, and she became my OCD hero. Susan had a husband and a kid in a foundation and a dog, and she'd gone to Northwestern like I wanted to someday. Oh, I wanted to be just like her when I grew up. And Susan would take me out to do friend exposures. I wanted to be friends with Susan because she was a grown-up. I liked my grown-up friends. And now Susan she wasn't a therapist, by the way. She was a lawyer, but as a fellow member of the OCD community, she knew exactly how everything felt. Susan would take me to the thrift store And we would go through all the clothes on the rack that may or may not have been washed before they were put out. And then she would buy me a tie-dye t-shirt if I promised to wear it for a whole day without washing it first. It was so hard, but it was so worth it. And then sometimes we would sit on her bathroom floor and put our hands on the floor and sit there for hours just talking to each other. It was really hard. The longer we sat there, the easier it got. And I'd been doing birthday parties as my summer job, doing storytelling, because of course I was. And so Susan offered to hire me to do the OCD picnic to do storytelling. I wondered what an OCD picnic was going to be like. Would they have exposure games? Like maybe you had to, like people who were afraid of germs had to drop their hot dog on the ground before they ate it, or people who were afraid of doing things an uneven number of times had to do a three-legged race. People who were afraid of doing things wrong had to lose. The options were endless. I got to the park the day of the picnic and wondered if I was going to know my people by the aura of anxiety vibrating from them. But the only reason I knew was because they had a banner that said OC Foundation. Couldn't believe they were telling people. I had never told anyone except my parents and my doctors. They had a freaking sign. But I walked over to the group and told stories and had fun. And then once the storytelling was over, Susan grabbed my hand. Hey, there's an exposure that's still hard for me. You want to be my exposure coach? I had never been on the other end of this interaction before, but I had plenty of experience on the receiving end. Yes, I do. What's your anxiety level? 6. Good, you can do that. Let's go. And we grabbed hands, and we ran up the hill towards the dreaded porta potties. Along the way, we grabbed various board members who also had OCD. Javed, Brian, a whole group of us went running up the hill. Fear is like a party, yelled Susan. It's more fun with more people. It's a porta party, somebody said. Ow! We got to the toilets, and Susan stepped up. All right, she said, I'm going in first. Let's hear some support. Yeah, Susan, you can do it. She stepped into the porta potty. All right, my anxiety is a 5. You can do it. Are you sitting down? You bet your butt I am. Okay, now it's a 4. She eventually came out. I did it. High five. No, thank you. Good job, though. All right, she said. Who's next? Javed raised his hand. I will go into the potty box, but I'm not going to sit down. That's okay, she said. Go on. Do whatever you can do. He went and stood in the porta potty. This is very hard. It's extremely stressful. You can do it, yelled Susan. Remember to breathe. I'd rather not. It's kind of stinky in here. Eventually, Javed came out and took a grand bow. Everybody applauded. Each one of us took a turn rotating into the porta potty. I hope no one was in line because we were taking our sweet time. I was not even close to porta potties in my therapy, but this rush of public support was intoxicating. Susan, I think I want to do it. Really? Good girl, get in there. You can do it. Yeah, come on. And I stepped into the porta potty, and I could hear their cheers echoing off the thin green walls. And it was so hard, but it was so exciting. And I thought, these are my people. These people standing around a porta potty in a public park and screaming like they're at a Knicks game. This is my community. And I fit. I could not wait to tell Ingrid what I had done at our next appointment. She was going to be so impressed. Ingrid, you were not going to believe what I did this week. I'm just going to tell you because you would never guess in a million years. I used a porta potty. I know, I peed in everything, and there weren't even sinks there.
That's really great, Jessie. That's really good.
I'd expected her to be a little more excited. It's a big deal.
Hey, there's something I want to talk to you about.
What?
I wanted to let you know that I'm going to be moving.
Oh, like to another office?
Yeah. But the office is in Boston.
But how are you going to be my therapist if you're in Boston? And her eyes told me the answer. No. No, you don't get to just leave me. You don't get to go. Cause I need you is the thing. So you can't go. Okay.
I know it's really hard, but you know, sometimes when a ship docks, one crew gets on and one crew gets off,
But we're not docked. We're right in the middle of a battle. You can't just leave me like that.
I'm so sorry. But you know, it's not so bad because I found another first mate for you I think you're really gonna like, and I'm kind of a specialist working with kids, and you're gonna be in high school, and so this is more of a grown-up doctor, so in that way it's kind of okay timing.
It's not okay timing. It's not. Where are you going?
I got a job at this hospital in Boston where kids go when they just got OCD, and I'm going to live there with them and help them get better.
They're really lucky. Not about the OCD, that blows, but they're lucky they get you. And for the first time, I saw Ingrid not just as my first mate, but as somebody who was the first mate to a whole lot of kids. And as somebody who was a person with a life beyond any of us. A life that was going to be in Boston now. I'll miss you forever. No, sweetie, you won't miss me forever. I will literally miss you forever.
How about you remember me forever?
Okay. I will. And I have. The new therapist's office was stupid. She had dumb magazines like Home and Garden and Newsweek, not a highlights in sight. And when I met her, she was tall and old, like almost 40. And she had braces, which was really confusing because I thought children had cornered the market on orthodontia. But braces or not, she was definitely a grown-up. It wasn't that I didn't like her. It wasn't that she wasn't nice or smart. It was just that she wasn't my Ingrid. But what she was an expert in something called social phobia. The first time I was in her office, I saw a book on her shelf. It said social phobia right on the spine. I'd never heard of that before. And I pulled it off her bookshelf and I looked at it and it was like reading a book about myself. And I realized this was the social manual that I've been waiting for this whole time. It was a real book and I finally had it. I know it existed. She explained that social phobia was different from OCD, but that it was treated in a similar way. Facing your fears little bits at a time, step by step, which meant, of course, more homework. So every day after school, I would go home and I would do my school homework and then I would do my therapy homework. She always wrote it down for me on 2 note cards because she knew with my ADD I'd lose at least one of them before I got home. So I would go to the landline, which for those of you under 18 is a cell phone attached to a wall. And I would begin. Number 1, call 3 friends. Number 2, tell them your mom has to use the phone. Number 3, say you'll talk to them later and hang up. Okay. Hey, Robin, it's Jess. I was just wondering what the English homework is. Cool. Okay, my mom has to use the phone. I'll talk to you later. Bye. 1 down, 2 to go. I don't know what they do with kids nowadays, but the mom has to use the phone excuse worked perfectly in my day. Don't be home, don't be home, don't be home. Hey, Sarah, it's Jess. I was just wondering what the English homework is. Cool. Okay, my mom has to use the phone. I'll talk to you later. Bye. 2 down, 1 to go. I could see the light at the end of the tunnel. Hey, Gina, it's Jess. I was just wondering if you know what the English homework is. You forgot your assignment notebook at school? There was nothing on the note card that said what to do if she didn't know what the homework was. I mean, I knew what the homework was. I'd already done it, and I just asked 2 people. I was very clear what the homework was. But I couldn't tell her at this point. I'd blow my cover. Okay, I guess we'll both just call different people then. What? A birthday party? This was going way off script. I don't know, when is it? Right, a birthday party went up. Yeah, a weekend, of course. I don't know. My mom's not here right now. I'll have to ask her when she gets home. My mom has to use the phone. I'll talk to you later. Bye. I would have to ask Dr. Karen about the birthday party. She would probably make me go, but only for a little while. And little by little, note card by note card by note card by note card, I started to develop something called a friend group, which was, for reasons that I did not understand, a group of people who apparently wanted to be friends with me. I didn't trust them with the intimacy of truth. I didn't tell any of them my OCD secret. I was sure they would go running and screaming from my life if they knew. Shame and stigma are powerful forces, friends. But it was nice not to sit alone on the bus. And things were good. Sometimes you can see the storm coming a mile away. You see the wind that creates the waves that knocks you off your ship. But sometimes you just wake up one morning and you're treading water all over again and you don't even know why. It started as indecisiveness, but quickly spiraled into an absolutely paralyzing fear of making decisions, of affecting anything in the world. Anytime something would happen that was even remotely imperfect, I would spend tons of time trying to trace back days or weeks or even months to figure out how it could have possibly been my fault. It was like that song, connect the dots, la, 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 but it wasn't fun. It was horrible and really time-consuming. I was spending all of my time trying to build a spiderweb across time. We tried to treat it in weekly therapy, but imaginal exposures are hard when the obsessions and compulsions are all in your head. And so the summer before my senior year of high school, we flew out to Los Angeles to meet with a therapist who specialized in those types of exposures. My third therapist, Dr. Zorba. Ding! Dr. Zorba was the tallest woman I'd ever met in real life. She had long black hair and enough cleavage to keep a small mammal warm all winter long. She was dressed more like she was preparing to be a contestant on Eurovision than be a therapist, with a mini skirt and a low-cut blouse, but as we learned from Ingrid, first impressions are often wrong. All right, Jessica, here's what we're going to do. I know this is a stressful time, but we will help you make decisions. First, you come to me every morning, we practice, and then you go with mommy every afternoon, you go around, you make all decisions. Mommy, you make no decisions. Okay, no decisions. Yes, you count for her. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, she make decision, you do this thing, you don't look back, you don't let yourself retrace your mind, you just do it, you do again, 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 till you prove to yourself you can make decisions, okay? It will be a fun week. It was not going to be a fun week. It was going to be horrifying. But I was going to do it anyway. And so the week of decisions began. Every morning, meeting with Dr. Zorba. Oh, her voice was like music. And then walking around with my mom through Los Angeles, making a shit ton of choices. Which way do you want to go? Left or maybe right? I don't know. Maybe left. 1, 2, 3. Fine. Left. What do you want to eat? I don't know. Soup. Is it too hot? It's hot. Maybe is it dangerous to eat hot soup if it's hot? 1, 2, 3. Fine, soup. You're counting too fast. Every decision was agonizing at first. But the more decisions I made, the more they piled up in my hands, and eventually I couldn't hold them all, and I just had to let go. And by Friday, I was the decision-making expert. I could make a decision like that. We went to Venice Beach, home of the tchotchkes and the drug addicts, and I could do everything. There was so much to see, to do, to touch. I want to go to that cool towel store. Oh, can I get one of those coconuts with the straw in it? Oh, it was like being let out of a cage. And then, as the sun started to set, I looked out over the water and saw a ship going to, or perhaps from, port. And without even asking my mom, without even thinking about it, I kicked off my shoes and I ran across that warm sand in the one place you probably should wonder if there are syringes in the sand. And I ran into the water and I let those waves crash against me there on the shores of healing. And I realized this is how it's going to be. It's never going to be done. It's going to be waves. Waves that will come and knock me off my ship, and I will struggle, and I will get back on, and I will keep sailing. And that was going to be enough. I got back and started my senior year of high school. I decided I was going to do an independent study in playwriting, which turned out to be extremely independent because nobody at my high school taught playwriting. I wrote a play about a little girl who got OCD and her relationship with her mother and her experiences going through treatment. Just so you know, it was not about me, because her name was Annie and my name is Jessie, so it was clearly not autobiographical. And yes, I know some of the conversations that she had with her mother were kind of similar to conversations I'd had with my mother, and some of them might have been actual transcriptions of conversations we'd had, but it was not about me because her mother had a pottery studio in her house, and my mother had only studied it in college, so clearly not autobiographical. And after the play was written, I decided that I wanted to do it the summer before I started college as a benefit for the OC Foundation. I called Susan to tell her the news. Hey, Susan, I have this idea about this play I wrote about OCD, and I want to do it as a benefit for you guys. Oh, that's a great idea, Jessie. We would love that. Absolutely, let's do it. Oh, but I hadn't told her the best part. I want you to star in it with me. Hello? I could only assume that she'd put the phone down to do a dance of joy. After a minute, she said, oh, no, honey, no, that is not gonna happen, because the thing is, I'm not an actor, and that's not a good idea. You need a real actor to do it. I'm not an actor. No, but Susan, here's the thing though, it's not acting, because I wrote the part of the therapist thinking about you and how we did friend exposures. So really, you're just like being yourself on stage and saying the words I tell you to say, how I tell you to say them. But like, it's not acting. God bless her, she agreed to do it. With my all-important therapist cast, I cast another professional actor or two who, for reasons I still do not understand, agreed to let themselves be directed by a really enthusiastic 18-year-old. I filled out the cast with a few of my favorite teachers, and I cast my love interest, Cy. He was a sophomore at another high school, and I cast him because I met him at a pie shop and he seemed nice, and rehearsal started the next day. My casting process left something to be desired, but by some miracle, he was actually a really good actor. They all were. And the summer started, the summer of rehearsing and acting and directing and building the set. I built the set myself. I wanted it to be made out of black theater cubes like this one, but I didn't have any theater cubes, so I went around to all the area restaurants and got them to donate those milk crates, and then I spray painted them black. It was quite an exposure. The rest of the set was simple and very artistic. It was 2 A-frame ladders with a police light mounted on top of each that would spin when Annie was having compulsions. And then, the best part was there was a shower curtain hung between them that would be backlit, and then you would see silhouettes. It was very artistic, it was very avant-garde, it was very clearly conceived by an 18-year-old. The set was all built and ready to go. The night of the show arrived, and my school had donated their 500-seat auditorium for the benefit. I peeked out at the audience, and it was almost full. We had almost sold out. I couldn't believe it. The actors were great. They knew their lines. They were ready to go. The stage manager's 13-year-old sister was positioned at the light board. What could go wrong? I was so excited. Susan was terrified. She was marching back and forth in front of the set backstage. Oh my God, I can't believe I let you talk me into this. This is absolutely insane. She'd been spending the whole rehearsal process looking up at my set and going, it reminds me of something. I just can't put my finger on it. I knew what it reminded her of, great art. But then in that moment right before the show started, she looked up at it and she said, oh, it's a ship. That's what it is. It totally looks like the mast of a ship. Oh my God. Oh crap. The play's about me. Oh shit. I ran into the dressing room in abject panic. Oh my God, you guys, this play is about me. And all the actors looked up at me, and Cy, the 16-year-old, said it best. Duh. What do you mean, duh? Wait, you knew? Yeah. Well, why didn't anybody tell me? We thought you knew. I did not know. Why would you assume that? But it was too late. The people were already out there. The show must go on. So I took a deep breath and walked on stage, and in pretending to be somebody else, I came out as myself. And after the show went pretty well, all things considered. Even the 13-year-old in the light booth did a pretty great job. And a bunch of people came up to me afterwards to talk, and nobody wanted to talk about the play. Everybody wanted to tell me their own stories. Their stories about their mother, their father, their brother, their sister, themselves, their own struggles with mental illness. And I started to realize the transformative power of theater, which is that you start by telling your own story, but the story that everybody else hears is theirs. And a week after the show closed, I packed up and started college at Northwestern University and lived in the same dorm, and completely by chance, I kid you not, in the same room that Susan Richmond had lived in all those years before. I joined the freshman friend scramble, everybody grabbing around, trying to figure out where they fit in the world, trying to find friends. I loved the theater majors. I connected with them more than I'd ever connected with other kids. A bunch of type A nerds away from home for the first time. I fit right in. There were especially these 3 girls who lived across the well, the street from me, Nicole and Margaret and Alana, they were so cool. They were so funny. They were so nice. Mommy, when will you stop making me play with other kids? When you want to. Oh, how I wanted to. A week or two into the school year, I found out that I'd won an award from the VSA Arts Foundation, which does disability advocacy for the play that I'd written. And they were going to fly me out to the Kennedy Center to accept it. And so, without really thinking much about it, I told my new friends about this award. I was really excited. And I neglected to foresee the question that they were obviously going to ask, which is, of course, what's your play about? Shit. How did I do this again? Oh. But now it was too late. The cow's out of the bag, so I had to tell them. And I was sure they would go running and screaming from my life instantly. But I told them, and they just said, cool, you have a tape of it? I did. I had a VHS that I had never intended to show anybody. But I showed it to them, and they watched it, and I watched them watch it. And they stayed. I went to the Kennedy Center, and when I got back home, I was unlocking my dorm room door, and surprise! My room was filled with people. There were my new friends, Alana and Margaret and Nicole, and my roommate Beth, and a bunch of other kids, and there was cereal on the floor in bowls that they liberated from the cafeteria, and bottles of pop, and a sign along the back wall that said, "Welcome home, Jess. Love, your friends." This is a really great party, you guys. It's not that big a deal. We just stole some cereal from the cafeteria. It's a really great party. I loved everything about school. I loved my acting teacher, Mary Poole, who taught me that sometimes being vulnerable and being powerful are the same. I loved my performance art class, where there were only 2 rules. Don't set anything on fire and don't get naked unless you have a damn good reason. I loved my improv troupe that would drive around the country making each other laugh and getting car sick. I loved everything about school, especially the other kids, especially my friends.